Did you know that women make up 75% of the world's workforce and 2/3 of the world's working hours? Women also produce the majority of the world's food, but only earn 10% of the world's income. Did you also know that 60% of the world's chronically hungry are women and girls? 2/3 of all children denied school are girls, and 75% of the world's 876 million illiterate adults are women. Did you know that in Samoa, 46% of women have been abused by their partners?
I don't think girls get same opportunities as boys.
Certainly in our culture, I think nowadays girls absolutely get the same opportunities as boys.
No, I think they get different opportunities, so that would mean that boys are not getting the same as girls just as much as girls aren't getting the same as boys. I think it starts quite early.
Yes, I do. I think that this has been the case in the UK for a number of years.
I feel in some aspects, yes, girls do get the equal opportunity, but they don't get the equal reward for those opportunities. They have to work double as hard to get the same money.
In today's world, I think it's levelling off, particularly in the UK. Girls get a lot more opportunity to be able to do what used to be classed as men's jobs.
I do believe up to a certain age that girls do have the same opportunities as boys, particularly at school.
I think we've come a long way in terms of opportunities for women compared to where we were, say, even 30 years ago.
And as an example, you can take the fact that most companies around the world, the CEO of those companies are men.
I've certainly seen that in teaching and education, and in fact it's very high on the agenda. I think it's changed a lot since I started working, but even then I still think a lot of discrimination comes down to other things, just in our culture, that rather than just gender.
In terms of the default settings for boys, things are blue and plastic and car-like, and things that girls are having are sort of pink and fluffy and cutesy. I know there's a lot of stuff that they're trying to make kind of unisex options for things for children now.
My experience is definitely that I have the same opportunities as boys, but I appreciate that that's fairly subjective. My chosen career is female dominated, so had I wanted to choose a career in something else, maybe bricklaying or plumbing or whatever, I may not have the same opinion.
I feel, for example, in construction, or even being at the top of a business, owning it, or working at the top, they don't get the same pay grade. They don't, unless they genuinely deserve it, even though I don't really think that counts.
Such as engineering and mechanics, etc. I still don't think it's a level playing field. I think females have to sort of really show their worth, particularly in male-dominated industries such as construction.
They all have the same opportunities there. It's whether on leaving school they decide to take the career path or whether to take the path of family.
There are more opportunities, particularly in terms of further education and entering into professional careers, but we just are not there yet.
I know that in some countries women are not being treated the same, especially with education.
I think this is definitely changing. I know that in Saudi Arabia recently, I think maybe 2 years ago, women are now allowed to drive, but they still have a lot less rights. than men in those sort of more Middle Eastern countries.
I feel that women in other countries, because there's still quite an old-fashioned view, although we're quickly modernising, this is the one area in which we're lacking.
I don't think that the fact that women can't vote or drive or get an education in other countries is going to change very quickly. I think it's going to take some time.
I don't really think women won't be able to do that anytime soon, because if you see, the first time when it happened, an election was in the 18th century, and it took 2 centuries.
That's very difficult. Other countries have their rules and regulations, and a lot of that does tend to be dominated by men.
So obviously, as a white Western woman, the opportunities for me are far greater than people who may be living in poverty in other countries who may have a different system in place.
This is down to the individual countries concerned. It's been ongoing now for so many thousands of years as the women actually being the inferior race as it's classed in them countries.
This is very much led by their society, and I don't believe that that will change very soon, but I do believe that there are a lot of things that are happening in the world at the moment that will probably drive there to be some change in the near future.
I really am hopeful for change. Like I said, it's bare minimum countries where women don't have the exact same rights as men in terms of voting and education. But I do think in some cultures it's expected that, you know, women shouldn't do what men do, whether they're allowed to or not. It's, you know, some cultures it's frowned upon.
And therefore, as much as it seems like it might be slow now, I think it's going to quickly progress.
And I think it will take some time, mainly because it's not something that a lot of other countries put as a high priority. We here in our culture and part of the world think of that as a very high priority, but for other countries, I don't think it does.
So I really feel like there is still a long way to go to get to that point, but hopefully I'm wrong and it will happen soon.
I don't feel that they will be catching up with the Western world anytime soon. I think that women will always be suppressed, although there will be those that try and leave just to try and get an education and to be able to express them.
I think we've got a long way to go as a world before we see gender equality across the globe. I think there are still systems in place in which women are denigrated and abused simply on the basis of their gender.
It's changing the mindset of the governments. It's part religion. It's been ongoing now for so long. It's never ever, from what I can see, going to change within my lifetime. It's incorrect. It shouldn't be that way. But unfortunately it is. It's wrong.
So I think this is quite an interesting question. And I suppose there are examples of religions in which women are harmed, and of course that's not appropriate.
No, I don't. Again, I'm very open-minded. I don't think it should matter what religion you follow.
The problem is there's so many different religions and they all say so many different things regarding men and women. That's a difficult one to actually rectify.
No, I absolutely do not. It is something I find abhorrent. And I think that religion can be a very good moral compass, but unfortunately it also can be used as a means to control.
Religion is a tricky topic. I don't have a big insight into many other religions and how that relates to the difference between men and women.
I don't think you should be discriminated because of what someone believes in, whether you're male or female.
Yes, discrimination is sometimes come down to religion, and I don't think it's fair.
I don't think it's fair that genders be discriminated because of religion. Not everyone has the same beliefs, so why should some push it upon others?
And should stop, in the name of religion, to harm anyone is wrong.
I don't think you should be suppressed just because you're female or male. I think that every individual has the right to freedom and to be able to choose to follow whatever career path or belief that they want to.
I mean, if you come down to the actual Bible, in the eyes of God, everybody was created equal. But that's in the Bible. The Quran says something different. Women are inferior. That's their views, the Bible's, the British views, and a lot of other nations' views. It's old. It's not in the modern world. These are books what were wrote 2,000 years ago. As far as the Bible's concerned, it's 2,000 years ago. We're not in that place anymore.
And males controlling females is an issue that the whole world at some point has had to work through.
I don't believe in any discrimination at all. And I definitely don't believe that people should be discriminated against because of what they believe in. At the moment, there is a lot of issues surrounding people's religion and a lot of people being discriminated against because of that.
It's definitely not fair, as long as what you believe in is legal, in terms of religion and faith. As long as you're not harming anybody, you're not an extremist. I don't think anyone should be discriminated.
I think it should be equal playing field when it comes to that, but obviously that's not the current circumstance, but that's what I believe.
In 1867, the London Society for Women's Suffrage is formed to campaign for female suffrage. In 1902, a delegation of women's textile workers from the north presented a petition to Parliament demanding votes for women. In 1918, women over 30 are granted the right to vote in Britain. It took women just over 50 years to finally get the chance to vote, even though they had to be over 30. It was a big step in history for women. As time passed, women became more empowered. In 2000, after a long battle led by the refugee women's groups in the UK, the Asylum Gender Guidelines are launched. The guidelines note that the dominant view of what constitutes a real refugee has been of a man, and this has meant that women asylum seekers in the UK may not benefit equitably from the protection offered by the Refugee Convention. They aim to ensure that the gender of the asylum seeker does not prejudice their application. In 2003, the Employment Equality Sexual Orientation Regulations are introduced to protect people against discrimination based on their sexual orientation. Also, the Female Genital Mutilation Act strengthens and amends the Prohibition of Female Circumcision Act of 1985. For the first time, it is an offence for UK nationals or permanent UK residents to carry out the female genital mutilation abroad or to aid, abet, counsel or procure the carrying out of female genital mutilation, even in countries where the practice is legal.